Autumn's drawing to a close, winter's beginning. Here in the UK, that means the start of grey, damp, wet, cold get into your bones type weather. We've already had floods and it looks as if it's going to get worse. Now is a time when gathering fuel, gathering tinder is more difficult, so it's a time to think about alternative methods of cooking. One alternative for heating your water and cooking your food is to use a pressure paraffin stove. Using paraffin also allows you to use a hurricane, a tilly or a Petromax lantern as well, so one fuel can provide heat and light. Most paraffin stoves follow the same idea, the most famous of which is the Primus stove. Basically you have a tank and a pump, and that forces liquid fuel into the burner unit and diffuser unit, where it's heated into a gas and then ignited. You must preheat the fuel. If you don't, you get yellow, sooty, not very effective flames. If you do take your time, heat it properly, you get a blue rocket flame, which is really, really effective. It's old technology, but it's robust and it works, and you can pick up second-hand stoves fairly cheaply. Using the stove is fairly easy. First of all, open up the legs. Then take off the cap and put it on the end of the pump. You don't lose it that way. Then screw on the burner unit and fasten it down using the spanner. Put on the pan supports, and now we're ready to clean the jet. To clean the jet, we use the pricker, which is a small bit of wire. Put it in the jet and wiggle it around. That makes sure the jet is clean. When the stove is set up, put some meths inside the burner. If you haven't got meths, you can use paraffin, providing you make a wick of toilet paper or cotton wool. You can also use burning paste or solid fuel like hexagon. Put on the wind guard, put on the flame spreader, then light the meths. Put your hand over just to check that it is burning, because it's a little bit difficult to see in the sunlight. Now you have to wait. Although it's a little bit more complicated than using a gas stove, it is really simple enough. The burning meths is heating up the feeder tubes, so when we pump, the fuel, the liquid fuel, will be turned into a gas. If it's hot enough, it will self-ignite and you don't need to use a match. You can see that after just 2 or 3 pumps, it's going. Or rather, you can hear it going like a rocket. We can simmer by opening the valve. Or, to turn it off, we open the valve fully. And very quickly, the flame dies. You can set up this stove within 2 or 3 minutes and you have an effective and cheap fuel option for the winter months. So now you've seen it in operation, make up your own mind. Once you've used your water purification tablets to clean out your water bottles and containers, you're left with the tube. This is a handy little container, and you can take off the brand name with a little bit of sandpaper. This gives you a great container for your cyalume if you're worried about them being bent before you actually need them. Once you've roughened up the surface, taking off the name, it's great and it's ready for spraying any colour you like. So you can make it drab to blend in, or bright orange or yellow to stand out. Once you've cleaned your water container, you want to keep it clean for the next use. One way to do this is to use cling film over the lid or tap. It's easy to get off. It's easy to put on. And if you use it from the middle of the cling film roll, it's reasonably sterile. So this keeps your water container tops, taps or faucets clean when it's in storage in your attic or in your garage. If you've got to keep your hurricane lamp in less than ideal conditions, wrap it in cling film. Wrap it in 2 or 3 different layers of cling film and you'll have a waterproof, damp-proof layer which keeps it from rusting in the long term. A cheap, easy idea to protect the gear you need. Waterproof jackets with waterproof pockets are great until they get wet inside. If you've got a mesh inside to the pocket, the clothes underneath get wet. If you've got a solid pocket, the gear inside gets soaked. One answer is to put your gear in plastic bags. Now, although this isn't a solution for all the time, it's great when you're expecting wet weather. Also, if your gear is wet, you can put it in the bag, back in the pocket, and it keeps everything dry. Although you don't want to have your gear in plastic pockets all year, it is a good idea in the inclement weather seasons.